when that opportunity presented itself, it presented itself from my desire to grow and my hard work ethic to go out and pick up cans. Let's connect the dots.
Right.
I was out there to make a few bucks picking up aluminum cans, right?
Right.
And that segued into an opportunity, which segued into another opportunity. I ended up working for that individual for 3.5 years. From him, I went out on my own in 1999.
Wow.
So that was my launch. So if you want to take it back to the bottom end of it, my launch was me picking up cans. And here I am 24 years later.
That's awesome.
That's some shit right there. That's deep. Paint a picture of humble. You're 20-something years old. You want a Lambo. You want the hot girl. You want everything. And you're picking up cans at 6:30 in the morning in an affluent neighborhood in your hometown. I mean, that's just doesn't get any more humble than that, really. I mean, like, come on.
This is where vulnerability really comes into play. If you can't be vulnerable with yourself, you're not going to be able to be vulnerable with others.
Yeah. Oh, man. Vulnerability, accountability, all those things. Those are earmarks of good leadership and success. So the smarts is something that you can, if you lack, you can just go get it. Right. Go borrow it from somebody else. Humility, not so easy. Hunger, you either have it or you don't. You can't fake it till you make it. That doesn't work. You have to get the knowledge and put the knowledge into practice. You have to have the humility to make the mistakes and move on. And you have to have the hunger to even start. Just to start.
So you gave me the book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Right.
And I know one of the quotes out of that is people don't buy what you do. They buy because it's why you do it. So what is the why behind what pushes you and drives you to execute what you want to execute?
I think the number one thing is just the phrase to leave this world better than I came into it. Like, what can I do to have even a small ripple effect that leaves either my direct family better off, meaning my wife and children, or my extended family, my friends, the community I live in, everything.
And the hungry is something that you have to have or don't have. The humility you have to cultivate. And I think life experience also breeds humility. Every time you get a failure, an L, some would call it, a loss, in other words, that is most definitely a way to build humility. Some people take a loss, it caves them in, like they're crushed by it, right? And so they're not humble, they're bitter, they're indifferent or indignant. And then like somebody did something to me or that outside circumstance, caused me to fail, instead of just owning it and moving on, which is the outcome of humility.
Right.
I screwed up.
Right.
Acknowledge and move on. I used to say that a lot. Acknowledge and move on. Acknowledge and move on.
What came to mind was Patrick Lencioni's The Ideal Team Player. And so, because that's all based on the principle of hungry, humble, smart. And it seems like in that story, you pretty much had to have all three traits in order to not just be an ideal team player, but I think that's also what you have to be a leader as well.
Right.
What was the motivation for you? Like, what was going on? Was it someone who said, "Look, you got to get this together"? Was it just a big failure that you had to grow from? Like,
it was a series of failures, losses. It was a series of those over the course of many years that finally caused me to wake up. Now, outside influence was saying, "You know why that happened, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. What are you gonna do about it? I'm not gonna ever overcommit, underperform again." Okay. And 6 months later, I would do 3 or 4 good things, and then I'd have one big screw up where I said I can do it and I couldn't do it. So sometimes you take on things and you commit to things that you absolutely have no idea how to perform or execute on, but you do it out of fear of capital because you need to make the money to do the next thing. You do that out of fear because you tend to want to grow too fast. You want to move to the next level faster than you're able, faster than you're ready. If you're 19, 20, 22, 25, 29 right now and you're hearing what I'm saying, you're like, you don't want to hear that. You want to hear, by the time I'm 31, I got a Lambo, That's
Right.
just how it works. It's very rare. It doesn't happen.
33 and I'm still loving my Kia.
People put too much emphasis on the lack of doing. I just think people should be doing more without worrying about, am I doing the right thing? Just do, just start, just go, just, and it's okay to do that. I do that at 46 and make mistakes all the time in life and in business. You just kind of try to course correct and move on and acknowledge and move on. And don't be so afraid, everybody. Just go, do something. The why behind the what. I think that the why has the most important piece of the puzzle for why we're going to do anything. If somebody says, well, why do you want to do that? I can answer it. And if I can't answer it, then it gets pushed way over here in the maybe never column. I think the why for me is the most important piece right now and what would make us push something to the forefront and pursue it.
Basically, I feel like the spot that I'm in right now and the spot that I want to get to, I need a bridge in between to connect the two. Because I feel like it's really hard for me to get to where I want to be
right
with where I am right now.
So how do you go from, without just winning the lottery, touring around the world and talking about what you want to talk about? You do it one small step at a time, and then you always make a move towards executing on that thing. So what we talk about around here, if you want to be a director of Hollywood movies, then you need to be sweeping the floors at a studio in Hollywood. Then you need to be getting the director's coffee. Then you need to be organizing the fruit tray. Then you need to be the next thing. You immerse yourself into that thing that you want to do. And I'm not questioning your passion about it. I'm defining what I think passion looks like. If you're passionate about screenwriting, I think you sit down and you write and you write and you write because you just can't not write. Like you have to. Like it's boiling up inside you. You got to get it out. If you're passionate about making films, I think everywhere you go, there's a camera in your hand. So that's my definition of passion. It's almost, passion to me is like, I can't breathe if I'm not doing this. And I think once you discover what that looks like for you, then, and you unlock it, then it becomes something that you have to do. But yeah, I wanted to define passion first. To continue that quote, just say my passion, I don't need an alarm clock. My passion wakes me up. My passion keeps me up late at night too, like 2:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. I can't go to sleep until I stop. Until my body just stops. I fall out. That, to me, that is the definition of passion. I'm speaking to some people and to you, meaning that this isn't for everybody. Some people that get laid off need to go back and find a job next week. But for the people that are feeling the way you felt the last year, maybe plus, or even the last 6 months or 2 years, or for some it's longer than that, if that's the way you're feeling, then you got to do something about it. And
it's almost like you're letting your safety choke the life out of your passion.
Yeah, comfort, passion. One's going to win that battle, you know?
Right.
And for some, once your passion becomes your comfort, and I really think once you pursue it 100% and you get to a place of happiness and wholeness that we've discussed before, I think that all those other things lose their value.
Right.
Just because you like something a whole lot doesn't mean you're passionate about it. Like, there's a difference for me. I am passionate about teaching. About people listening to what I have to say and it bringing value to someone at where they're at in their life. Like, I light up inside. I knew that for decades, but never really had an outlet for it. But there's no doubt in my mind that in depth of my core, I have a teaching spirit, a teaching mentality of come alongside me and let me show you kind of thing. So that's something that I'm passionate about. The value for me is not monetary. It's not what can I get from the other person. It's a fulfillment of a piece of who I am. If you don't, 10 years from now, and be like, oh, I wish I should have. That happens. That's real. That happens to a ton of people. Every day somebody wakes up, it's 10 years has passed just like that. You get one shot. Life's going to be over. It's going to be over before you know it. I wake up every day and I think about what can I do today that, is different from yesterday, and how can I advance the ball closer to the goal line with every little step that I make. But I've been exercising patience for many years, and I've been through a lot of hard stuff that has conditioned me to be patient. A lot of hard times, difficult times, that will condition you to be patient. Because you're like, well, I've been through that. That wasn't the end of the world. I guess I can go another day, week, month, year. Plan and execute, So you're creating all these little funnels that can create some sort of income that will allow you the opportunity to continue to chase. Your creativity is going through the roof because you're focused, and you're intensely focused because of your situation. You're not distracted by a job. You're not distracted by all these other things. I think that there's a distraction, and that 40 hours a week that you have, that's your obligation for your job. But outside of that, there's a distraction of the employment position, meaning that when you're employed, that thing, and I'm not telling anybody to go quit your job. Please hear what I'm saying. That thing that you're obligated to for 40 hours a week not only absorbs 40 hours of your week, but it's a complete roadblock. It's a drain and it's a roadblock.
Right.
It doesn't allow you to think beyond the next step. And so when it's stripped away from you in a situation like you experienced, you're forced to think about it. And it gives you this immense amount of time that you didn't have before because it's the 40 hours. The person I was describing earlier, just a few seconds ago, that had the personal money matters, couldn't handle themselves personally on the budgeting and finance side, and therefore couldn't run a business, that was me. Right? So I'm speaking from experience. I'm saying if you can't, then you can't. Because I didn't, and I didn't.
Right.
I didn't do it personally, and I wasn't successful in the business realm. I hustled, and I tried to outwork my poor planning, and I tried to out-hustle my poor spending and budgeting habits. And for a season, I succeeded. And then it caught up with me in 2007, 2008, when the real estate market went down. I got caught in a couple of really bad spots, was very fortunate enough to really think through it, grind it out, come up with some strategies, enlist some help of other people, get some other insight, and liquidated a bunch of stuff and did not have to fold them, for lack of a better description, and made it through that and came out much stronger on the opposite side. So that poor money manager of my late 20s, early 30s that was running a business and running it into the ground, it really wasn't a business at that point. It was just a venture.
So what was the turning point that made you feel like you had a business?
Oh man, I think it was probably the planning and sitting down and budgeting and really immersing myself in what did a business look like? What's the function of a business?
Right.
It's a living, breathing organism. It's not just a series of tasks and expenses and incomes. Mm-hmm. That is a living, breathing organism business that can function on its own while the owner's gone or the operator's gone or the CEO's gone.
Was there a similar trait that you feel like at each stage of those lives that you possessed or that made you stronger as you got through those different stages?
To me, it's just one word, and I would think it's probably resilience, to not stay down. And so you just have to be resilient inside your being to get back up and do it all over again. Knowing that you just fucked up yesterday and it was bad. Today's a new day. This is a new hour. Tomorrow's a new tomorrow, et cetera, right? So that resilience to never quit, just never quit, to get up and do it again, even if the season is a 6-month season or a 2-year season. So you got to be resilient to just stop, own it, and move forward. So I'd say resilience to the consequences and the outcomes of your actions is probably the one common thread through that whole thing for me. This is big, and it's going to be super eye-opening for some people. Some people that are feeling the way we've been describing and want to jump into the positive and move forward and get encouraged and stuff like that. Sometimes the dynamic that they're wanting to run from, they are the dynamic. You might discover that you're that person for your crew, and then you've got some serious reckoning to do.
Yeah.
That's a tough spot. But you're not going to know that until you pursue the cleaning house of your own world and the dialing in of positivity and moving forward and being encouraged and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden you're exposed. Wow. Yeah. You thought you were in a bad spot before you started. Now, that's just a warning, fair warning, this may be you. But if it is, it's even more important that you pursue what you're trying to pursue, because now you've got to not only get out of that space, you got to get out of this space and rewire everything. So for me, it would be less about the win on the financial side, and it would be more about the why behind the what. Like the idea, right?
Right.
I think that the why has the most important piece of the puzzle for why we're going to do anything. If somebody says, well, why do you want to do that? I can answer it. And if I can't answer it, then it gets pushed way over here in the maybe never column. I think the why for me is the most important piece right now, and what would make us push something to the forefront and pursue it. People put too much emphasis on the lack of doing. I just think people should be doing more without worrying about, am I doing the right thing? Just do, just start, just go, and it's okay to do that. I do that at 46 and make mistakes all the time in life and in business. You just try to course correct, knowledge, and move on, and don't be so afraid, everybody. Just go, do something.